Welcome to English literature class, my dear students of class 11th. Please open chapter number 6, The Chinese Statue by Jeffrey Acker. You please read page number 58 yourselves. Now I am going to start from here, page number 59. The little Chinese statue was the next item to come under the auctioneer's hammer. There were so many items were kept there to be auctioned, but the last, the author, the narrator says here that the little Chinese statue was the next item to come under the auctioneer's hammer. It was going to be auctioned. Lot number 103 caused those quiet murmurings that always precede the sale of a masterpiece. Lot number 103 was the cause of murmuring that always precedes the sale of a masterpiece. The auctioneer's assistant held up the delicate piece of ivory for the packed audience. The hall was fully packed to admire, while the auctioneer glanced around the room to be sure he knew where the serious bidders were seated. Because that was lot number 103 was very important. So the audience were packed to admire, while the auctioneer glanced around. Auctioneer who auctions around the room to be sure, to ensure himself he knew where the serious bidders were seated. I studied my catalogue, the narrator here says, I studied my catalogue and read the detailed description of the piece and what was known of its history. The statue had been purchased in Ha Li Chuan, Chinese name. The statue had been purchased in Ha Li Chuan in 1871 and was referred to as what? Sotheby's, a new word is here. Sotheby's, a place in London and New York where old, rare or valuable objects are sold in auctions. Here is a British-founded American multinational corporation headquartered in New York. It is one of the world's largest brokers of fine and decorative art, jewelry and collectibles. Sotheby's, quaintly, strangely described as the property of a gentleman. Described as the property of a gentleman, usually meaning that some member of the aristocracy did not wish to admit that he was having to sell off on the family heirloom. Family heirloom, a valuable object that has belonged to the same family for many years. Heirloom, a valuable object that has belonged to the same family for many years. So, usually meaning that the property of a gentleman, usually meaning that some member of the aristocracy did not wish to admit that he was having to sell off one of the family heirlooms. I wondered if that was the case on this occasion and decided to do some research to discover what had caused the little Chinese statue to find its way into the auction rooms. What had happened? What was the story that the family heirloom, that statue has come into the auction rooms on that Thursday morning over 100 years later. After 100 years, that little statue had come there for auctioning. Lot number 103, declared the auctioneer. What am I bid for this magnificent example of? What I am bid for? What should be the bidding? Sir Alexander Heathcote. The story starts from here. Sir Alexander Heathcote, as well as being a gentleman, was an exact man. He was exactly 6 foot 3 and a quarter inches tall. Rose at 7 o'clock every morning. Daily routine of Sir Alexander Heathcote. Rose at 7 o'clock every morning, joined his wife at breakfast to eat one boiled egg, cooked for precisely 4 minutes. Everything was done at exact time by Sir Alexander Heathcote. You see here, one boiled egg cooked for precisely 4 minutes, 2 pieces of toast with 1 spoonful of Cooper's marmalade. Cooper's, a drink, marmalade jam. And drink 1 cup of China tea. That was his routine. He would then take a hackney, a carriage pulled by horses. Hackney. Take a hackney carriage from his home in Cadogan Gardens at exactly 8:20 and arrive at the Foreign Office at promptly 8:59. Returning home again on the stroke of 6 o'clock. Very punctual man. Sir Alexander Heathcote was. Sir Alexander had been exact from an early age. From his early age he was exact. He had been exact as became the only son of a general. He was the only son of a general, but unlike his father, he chose to serve his queen in the diplomatic service, another exacting calling. He progressed from a shared desk at the Foreign Office, in Whitehall to third secretary in Calcutta, now Kolkata, to second secretary in Vienna, to first secretary in Rome, to deputy ambassador in Washington, and finally to minister in Peking. He worked on very dignified posts. And finally to minister in Peking. He was delighted when Mr. Gladstone invited him to represent the government in China, as he had for some considerable time taken more than an amateur, doing something for employment. Interest in the art of the Ming dynasty. Sir Alexander Heathcote had a keen interest in the art of a Ming dynasty. This crowning appointment in his distinguished career, eminent, would afford him what until then he would have considered impossible, an opportunity to observe in their natural habitat some of the great statues, paintings and drawings which he had previously been able to admire only in books. Sir Alexander Heathcote had keen interest in Ming dynasty, and only he read in the books, but he wanted to have the statues, great statues, paintings and drawings in his private room, previously been able to admire only in books. When Sir Alexander arrived in Peking after a journey by sea and land that took his partly near 2 months, he presented his seals patent to the Emperor Zhu Ci and a personal letter for the private reading from Queen Victoria. The Empress, dressed from head to toe in white and gold, received her new ambassador in the throne room of the Imperial Palace. He became the ambassador. She read the letter from the British monarch while Sir Alexander remained standing to attention. Her Imperial Highness revealed nothing of its contents to the new minister, only wishing him a successful term of office in his appointment. As he served on various dignified posts, so only wishing him a successful term of office in his appointment. She then moved her lips slightly up at the corners, which Sir Alexander judged correctly to mean that the audience had come to an end. As he was conducted back through the great halls of the Imperial Palace by a mandarin in the long court dress of black and gold, Sir Alexander walked as slowly as possible, taking in the magnificent collection of ivory and jade statues which were scattered casually around the building, much in the way Ceiling and Michelangelo today like stacked against each other in Florence. Mandarin, a high government bureaucrat of the Chinese Empire. Mandarin. And what happened after that, you will study in the next page. Thank you so much, students.